Israel has defended killing 6 journalists in Gaza, claiming one was a terrorist currently working with Hamas. The IDF says Al Jazeera journalist Anas Al-Sharif was an active Hamas military wing operative, that he received a salary from the group, and that what they've presented publicly is only a small declassified portion of intelligence. 4 of Al-Sharif's colleagues from Al Jazeera, as well as another independent journalist, were killed in the same strike in an attack widely condemned by organisations advocating for the freedom of the press. Well, we are joined now by Nadav Shoshani, a spokesperson for the IDF. Thank you for joining us today, Mr. Shoshani. Why is the IDF killing journalists? The CPJ accuses Israel of directly targeting and killing at least 20 journalists and media workers since October the 7th. The latest, as we've just heard, an entire Al Jazeera crew with the weekend.
Fred, thank you for having me, Jen. And first of all, I want to say the IDF does not target journalists. In this strike from 2 days ago, the IDF targeted a Hamas terrorist, an active Hamas terrorist. His position had a few positions in the Hamas terror organization, but he was part of their rocket brigade. He was a head of a cell in their rocket brigade, and that's who we target. And I think the question needs to be asked, why is Hamas and why is Al Jazeera having terrorists on their payroll working as journalists, and why are terrorists also functioning as journalists with press justice? I think that those are questions that need to be very alarming, and we need to ask them about what's going on in Gaza. But the IDF does not target journalists.
What evidence do you have that he was currently, and that word currently is important, working for Hamas at the time of his death? Because the information that you have released to us dates back to 2019, the information that the IDF has released to the public. Why are you not able to release information that shows that he was currently working with Hamas?
Right. So there's many types of intelligence within Gaza. There's many types of intelligence that the IDF has about what's happening in Gaza. One of them, what we showed to the public, are papers that our forces were able to find in different locations within Gaza. Those are easy to declassify, relatively easy. There are more complex, more delicate intelligence that we have to treat very carefully, because intelligence that you declassify, if you do it in an uncareful manner, you can't use it the next time. And it's important for us to save life and to have relevant, real-time intelligence. I don't think it's easy to find a specific person in the Gaza Strip, and we're able to do that. We're able to have intelligence on who's a terrorist and who's not, and it's important for us to keep that ability. That means that you can't declassify everything you have. But we know in real time, in the time of the strike, that he was an active terrorist in Hamas. He was, in addition to intelligence, we have of things he was doing and conducting. We also have intelligence of the fact that he was on a Hamas payroll while he was on an Al Jazeera payroll. And I remind you, Al Jazeera, journalists that support the terror organization Hamas, he was both. He was, most important.
Can I just stop you there? Just as a journalist, I would say that Al Jazeera do not say that they support terrorists Hamas. Al Jazeera is an international news organisation, and it certainly doesn't support any particular side.
Al Jazeera had reporters within Hamas, within Israel, on October 7th with Hamas. Al Jazeera are broadcasting Hamas propaganda. Al Jazeera are working for Hamas when they have...
Al Jazeera are using journalists inside Gaza because, like all the rest of the international media, Israel will not allow international journalists into Gaza.
Hamas uses Al Jazeera when they run those vile propaganda and vile ceremonies with our hostages in the last ceremony. And I think Al Jazeera is far from condemning Hamas, and Hamas is a terror organization. So if they're supporting Hamas, they're supporting terror, and we should call it by what it is. And yet, that is not the reason we conducted the strike. We conducted the strike against the Hamas terrorist who was in active duty in Hamas, receiving paycheck.
What was his active role within Hamas?
Well,
what was his active role within Hamas?
He had 2 roles. One of them was head of a cell in their rocket launching brigade in northern Gaza. He had more roles, also kind of related to information and things like that. But most importantly, he was part of their
Why can't you release this information in a declassified fashion?
And I want to say something. That rocket launching brigade in northern Gaza also tries to fire rockets towards Israeli civilians. But also, and we've had casualties in northern Gaza. There's active fighting in northern Gaza. Sadly, we've had casualties in fighting there in northern Gaza. And there are people, Hamas terrorists, fighting mortar shells from those rocket brigades against IDF. And it's very common practice for IDF when we're operating in an area to go after people in the rocket brigade to make sure that we have freedom of movement, freedom of operation, and that those people are eliminated.
I'm just struggling to understand why you cannot release this information in a declassified fashion. You've released the information that you've released already is very old.
Again, there are specific types of intelligence that are very delicate and are very complex to declassify. We can speak of them in some sort of paraphrase. It's more complex than that to explain the process of declassifying intelligence. It's a long process, very complex, and you need to keep your sources of intelligence active and not harm them by taking out information from them in a way that would harm those sources from functioning.
As you know, the International Committee of Journalists, which is an independent non-profit organisation based in America that promotes press freedom worldwide, absolutely refutes the allegations that you're making about Anas Al-Sharif, as did he when he's alive. Based on their dealings with him, he also refuted your allegations whilst he was alive. Isn't the burden of proof on the IDF to prove this now?
Well, I think, first of all, we've put out documentation that we found in Gaza. We put out the original papers in Arabic that we found in Gaza proving he is a terrorist. And I don't think in any case in the world, anyone would take someone's word as just saying, hey, I'm not a terrorist. Okay, we believe you. And that's exactly what happened in this case. That's what's happening in this case. And I think it's just very easy and comfortable. And to be honest, you've been fair in this segment presenting him as we say that we claim he's a terrorist, but in many outlets they don't even present IDF proof that we put. If you don't believe it, it's okay, but do your job and present it. And more than that, this is a person who celebrated the death of civilians. I think it's worth mentioning. He's not this angel people are speaking about. He's a terrorist, and in addition to that, he has been promoting terror, supporting terror in his job as a journalist. I saw yesterday a picture of him celebrating the death of civilians on October 7th. I think that's important to be said. But more importantly than that, he was an active terrorist in Hamas, receiving salary from Hamas, hence a target in this war that Hamas started and is refusing to end.
Okay, and just to reiterate, this is something that he and his employer all denies. There were 7 other people killed in that attack, including another Al Jazeera correspondent, Mohammed Kreke, and the camera operators, Ibrahim Zaher, Mohammed Dufal and Momen Aliwa. Is the IDF's position that all 5 of those journalists who were killed were also working for Hamas, or are they just collateral damage?
We're looking into further details of the incidents, and when we speak about and we classify someone as a terrorist, it's after a long, rigorous process and after declassification, and that's what we've done. And about the additional people, we're still looking into the incident, and we'll hopefully be able to provide more information soon.
But clearly you must have understood that there was a risk if you're going to drop a bomb into a tent containing a load of journalists that more than the one that you are trying to attack would perish.
Well, we conduct our operations, and as you see, he wasn't with his family, and we try and conduct our operations in a way that goes after terrorists in the most minimal way. I don't want to speak or before it's
but if
verified and declassified.
If you kill 8 people when you're aiming for one, is that the most minimal way? Killing 8 if you're aiming for one.
Of more combatants alongside him, but I don't want to speak about things before they're declassified and verified, and I want to be very responsible.
So you're saying that you're going to release information about some of these other people that were killed now?
I'm saying there's a process of declassification, of verification, and I want to be very responsible. And I'll just say that we're looking into further details of the additional people and further details of this strike.
Okay. You may also have seen a special report that we're running today by my colleague Stuart Ramsey about what is happening in the West Bank and the encirclement of towns like Sinjar. Can I ask, why is the IDF closing and opening gates to villages and towns like Sinjar randomly and without warning? What is the security protocol there? Because it's really disrupting locals' lives, making life incredibly difficult.
Well, I think, first of all, the IDF policy in Judea and Samaria is to make sure that in any clash between civilians, Jews to Palestinians, and other way, that we keep the safe and order, the order in place, that we keep civilians on both sides safe, that we prevent these types of clashes. That's been our policy. And specifically in Sinjar, we can speak about every specific incident and looked at. Specifically in Sinjar, there were many incidents where people were hurling rocks to the main road by the village. Hence, a fence was built, those rocks have killed people driving in cars, caused car accidents that led to death and many injuries, and that's a threat on security. And generally speaking, our policy has been very clear. We do not limit movement as a goal to limit movement. We take steps to provide security. We take steps to deconflict when there's conflicts in the area, and we make sure that we do it with as little as possible limitations on the people from both sides in this region.
If you well know, as a result of the Oslo Accords, it divided up the West Bank into three areas: Area A, B, and C. Area A, these are areas governed by the Palestinian Authority and its security services. Israeli forces aren't meant to be in these areas. They have access to areas B and C. You must know this. Why are the IDF shutting down markets in Hebron that allow settlers and Orthodox Jews to walk freely in areas that the signs on the street say are very clearly for Israelis not to enter under Israeli law?
Well, I think I should look into that incident and understand the details, but Hebron specifically...
We've been running footage of it all day.
Hebron, I've seen the piece. I haven't looked at all of it. I've seen the headline and skimmed through it. It was a very interesting piece. And Hebron specifically is a special area where Hebron, there's a place of religion that is important for Muslims and Jews, so it has a little bit of different standards in Hebron. It's not as simple as you described, and I'd be happy to look into that and check and give explanations to anything happening there. Hebron,
but it's clear the IDF shouldn't be in areas A, should it?
Hebron specifically is different. Hebron is a place that has a place that is sacred for Jews and both.
Indeed, but under the Oslo Accords, it is classified as Area A.
Yeah, but the situation on the ground and also the agreements and the way that it is, there's security arrangements to make sure that Jews and Muslims can carry out their religion at the same time. It's a much more complex place with security arrangements that are designated specifically and out of the ordinary for this situation where there's a holy place that is both holy for Jews and for Muslims.
Okay, we will leave it there. Nadav Shoshani, thank you very much for joining us.